My name is Jeannie, and this is Jeannie Goes to the Movies. So I'd just like to let people know that my channel is actually more like it contains all of the other things that I do. I actually have a podcast, several podcasts, and if you're interested in movies, I'll put the link below. But I'll also have like a vlogging or a traveling podcast. I'll also put the link below. And I have a writing podcast, and I'm also have a website. I'm also a writer as well of romantic comedy. So if romantic comedies is not your thing, definitely just skip that. But this YouTube channel contains it's basically a portal for all of the other things that I'm doing, and it's not just Jeannie Goes to the Movies. I'll post other things here as well related to movies. Also, if you are here because you like to learn more about Buddhism, so this is the channel for you. So it's basically all of the, because it's kind of hard to make several channels for all of the things that I do. Although I did separate the other channel that I had, which is the vlogging traveling channel, because I just wanted to keep it separate, because it's very hard to put it on here as well. But everything, all the podcasts that I have is on here, and is also on Spreaker or anywhere where podcasts are available. So if you would like to check out my other stuff that I'm doing, I will put, oh yeah, I forgot too. I have also a cooking channel too. So I'm like, I really am interested in a lot of things, and movies, writing books, designing my website and stuff like that, designing book covers. I'm all over the place, but I like it because it brings me joy. And I'm considered as the Jill of all trades. I'm a little bit of everything, and I like video editing, podcasting, books, content creation. Basically, the thing is, I like to create content. So if you're here and you're subscribed, don't be surprised if other stuff shows up on your feed, not related to movies, but you can check out. I will try to organize it for people so that all the Buddhism related stuff is in the playlist, and all the movie related stuff is in the movie playlist, and all the other stuff is organized. That would be my 2022 goal. So anyway, for today, this video in itself, and I will upload this to my podcast, Jeannie Goes to the Movies. So I'm going to be talking about who is my favorite Spider-Man. So who is my favorite Spider-Man? So if you have not heard, if you have been living under a rock for who knows how many since 2020. Anyway, a new movie came out from Spider-Man, the MCU, Sony Pictures collaboration. It is Spider-Man No Way Home. So it is basically 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the 8th film of the Spider-Man universe. But of course, we had the first 3 with Tobey Maguire, and the 2 ones from Andrew Garfield, and the 3 ones from Tom Holland. And I heard that the Tom Holland one is sort of getting like a soft reboot, but it's also still going to continue. And I don't know how many films they're going to make with Spider-Man. The franchise just keeps going, and because there's a lot of fans like me. So who is my favorite Spider-Man? And I would have to say, out of the 3, it is Tobey Maguire. So the first Spider-Man was actually my favorite, and it was the bomb. At that time, it was in 2000, early 2000, I think 2002, 2003. That movie, Spider-Man, broke records, and it was one of those blockbusters that became the blueprint for all the things that Marvel has been doing from this, like from that very moment, they just switched up the formula, and it worked, and they've been doing it ever since. And Marvel has not looked back, and look at where they are right now. So okay, so my favorite Spider-Man is the Spider-Man from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I love Tobey Maguire. I think he was cast as the favorite Spider-Man because he was relatable. And who can resist his blue eyes and his smile? He was just boyish, charming, and he was just a boy next door. And you can really feel the emotions. He was such a superb actor. I don't know if he's gonna continue with his acting career. I have not seen him in movies recently. Okay, so for people that have seen a certain film, you will know what I mean. There's like a hint there. Anyway, yeah, he is just a perfect Spider-Man. Of course, that film was directed by Sam Raimi, and he is the guy behind the Evil Dead movies, horror films. So for some reason, he was chosen to do Spider-Man, and it was genius. But although Sam Raimi had some experience with Darkman, and if you looked at Darkman, it was, for me, looking at the elements, it was the what you call that, it was the blueprint for Spider-Man, because Darkman, guy swinging from buildings and doing superhuman things. I think Sam Raimi, he actually used the skills that he developed from directing Darkman, and he put all of those elements in Spider-Man, and he created a great franchise. Definitely. 1 to 2 were my favorite, and 3 was not very good. That's all I can say. So, but my favorite, of course, is first one. Because it was iconic. It had, who cannot forget the MJ upside down kiss, or the kiss between Tobey Maguire or Peter Parker and Kirsten Dunst, or MJ. That upside down kiss really was iconic. And if you just see that scene in the movie, it will just bring back memories of how fabulous the movie is. It just has that scene, that scene that defines the film. And the special effects at that time, I've been looking at, I've reviewed the Spider-Man, the first one, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, recently, and the special effects are still good. It's because I heard it was a combination. They didn't just rely on CGI; they also relied on, what you call that, practical effects. And I think that's the way to go if you can meld that. The special effects at that time when it came out, it was mind-blowing. It was really good, and it still aged well for me. I think it really aged well. There's just some movies that have aged well, and this is one of it. And it was a very good story, origin origin story. It really, character development. We don't get to see that as much in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and even in Tom Holland Spider-Man. He is not as fleshed out as Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He has, you can really see his journey from zero to hero. Okay. And the action was just great, and at that time it was mind-blowing that he was jumping from building to building and swinging from building to building, and the action scenes were also iconic. There's several scenes there that pop up in my mind. The train thing, I think that was on the second movie. And just, when he first swung from a building and like he fell, there's several scenes there that are just great, and it's memorable. And sadly not what you will find in the movies now, because it's all about like action, special effects. they don't spend as much time in a scene anymore to create or that scene that's just iconic. No more upside down kisses and stuff like that that really can define a movie. And also the music was really great. The soundtrack was amazing. I remember I had the soundtrack for this, and I would of course, like I would listen to it while on a treadmill. It was for me wonderful. I think it had a Macy Gray in there. It was just an amazing soundtrack. And of course, who would the hero be? The hero is defined by their foil. So the best villain would have to be Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe. He's like the Joker of Spider-Man. I'm using the DC terms, but of course, but he stands out on his own because you see the descent into madness, Willem Dafoe's character, and he is really that guy. Like he is the father figure for Peter Parker, and to see his descent into madness and violence. And I don't know if you have not seen the original Tobey Maguire one. There's a spoiler here. I'm gonna tell you that Green Goblin dies a really horrible death, and it's even the death scene is iconic. You really remember it. It's like, because like the recent MCU Spider-Man, it's just I can't even remember a scene right now because it's just too fast paced, and it's just it hops from one scene to the next. There's just no defining moment, and there's no like defining scene, not like the Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. You remember how the villain died. Right now for me it's just a blur. The Tom Holland one, it's just a blur. Everything is just a blur. I can remember bits and pieces, but it's just a lot of things going on. But definitely the death of Green Goblin, heartbreaking, of course, because that they Green Goblin and Peter Parker, they have that relationship in real life. And the movie broke records, and I think it started a trend that superhero films are breaking box office milestones, and this was one of the films that really did it. And it just after that, people now in Hollywood are always like, we have to break the weekend box office. This movie broke the weekend box office at that time, and it became the blueprint for other superhero films, especially the MCU universe, or not the MCU universe, but the MCU, and the Marvel films in general, and even other superhero films right now and other franchises right now. It's the blueprint. It's always like, let's break the box office records, let's make something like really great. And of course, the casting is superb. Peter Parker is wonderful, as or Tobey Maguire is wonderful as Peter Parker, and then Kirsten Dunst. There is so much chemistry between them. It's palpable, and they really just click together. I'm not saying that the new Tom Holland and his MJ, his Spider-Man's MJ, or his Peter Parker's MJ they don't have chemistry. They do, but it's like Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, they just have it. They just have that chemistry. And of course, that iconic upside down kiss. It was very romantic, very memorable. And, the what do you call that? The chemistry is just there. And also the chemistry with James Franco as well, Kirsten Dunst, and Tobey Maguire, the trio, their friendship, and eventually, which leads to resentment. I think there was a love triangle there. So, but the characters and the casting was superb. They really worked well together. The actors really worked well together. Even Uncle Ben, or the actor that played Uncle Ben, in the moments that he was in the film, he was really the heart of the film, And even Aunt May, but she's an older Aunt May, but you can really feel the chemistry there, and even the chemistry between Peter Parker and the Green Goblin. So that, between the main character and the foil. So, of course, I'm going to mention Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I love that film too, and I really do love Andrew Garfield. He's such a superb actor. I think he's appearing now in a musical movie, or in a musical, or a movie that's musical. I don't know. So he sings as well, and he's a really, really great actor. And to nail that American accent, when you're British, it's just amazing. He's one of those. He came into this role and he was eager, for the character, but unfortunately the studios did him a disservice, because they gave him a bad, not really bad, it's entertaining of course, but they didn't give him the best things to work with. The director obviously was wrong for the franchise. It was just wrong, and the writing was just wrong. It's very out of all of the Spider-Man, the three Spider-Man films, this one is the most comical, but I don't mean comical like the comics comical, but more comical, campy, And I don't think the actor really deserved that, because he's such a superb actor. And of course, I think I think both of them actually, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they have like Oscar nomination. So they're really great actors. It's just such a disservice that they rushed the film. Of course, Sony wanted to keep the rights to the film. They didn't want to let it go and like have another studio get it. But I feel that they didn't really need to rehash the origin story in a way, and reuse all that. With great power comes great responsibility. They could have just started off in a different direction, maybe, not even, maybe something midway too. They didn't have to go like redo the origin story and stuff. Maybe they could have just started like in the middle and then worked from there. But of course, that movie, especially the second one, the last one, it had an iconic scene, which if you haven't seen it, there's spoiler ahead. When his love interest, this Peter Parker's love interest, Gwen Stacy, dies. So that one for me was one of the memorable ones in this particular film series. So it is really like iconic as well in that way, but that's it. That's the only thing that was iconic here. Nothing really, it wasn't, the whole series itself wasn't memorable, and the villains were not memorable as well. There's Electro, and I guess the lizard guy is in here. I don't even remember. See, so, but with the original Spider-Man, I can really recall Doc Ock, the Green Goblin, and never mind the third one. It was like a waste of space. It was like, yeah, I don't even remember parts of the third one anymore. I think it had something to do with Venom, and it was such a bad movie. Anyway, so I would also like to mention Tom Holland. He's doing a great job. He's British, also doing a great job as a New York teenager, teenager with an American accent. So they've nailed the accent, actually. And it's just the thing about this series, not that I don't love it. I actually love it, and I watch it, and I've watched the first one a few times and the second one a few times. It is very entertaining, but it is overshadowed by Tony Stark and the MCU universe. Or MCU. I'm not. Why do I keep saying MCU? Anyway, because U means already universe. So the MCU. Yeah, it seems like overshadowed. His Spider-Man is overshadowed by the other superheroes in this like film, the series or whatever, and he doesn't really stand out as much. Of course, he's Spider-Man, but in the first two films, even this third film, he uses Tony Stark's technology, so he's not really the Spider-Man that we know. Although if you watch the third film, No Way Home, I think they are on their way to correcting that. But anyway, it's just this Spider-Man is overshadowed by everybody else, and I don't know, it's just but I still enjoy it, and of course people still enjoy it, and I think it's one of the more, or if not the most successful out of the three versions of Spider-Man, because it just makes millions and hundreds of millions and a lot of money. It just keeps making a lot of money. I think it reached $1 billion. I think the second one reached $1 billion, so it's really good. But that's the thing: would it have reached $1 billion if it did not have the backing of Tony Stark, Iron Man, and the MCU? So that's the question, because I think they have the backing of that, universe. And I wonder if he could stand on his own 2 feet or web or whatever. And it's also more about the technology. Not that I'm saying that the technology is not great. It's great. I mean, I love the superhero, the special effects. I love the special effects. It's really tantalizing. It's great. It's entertaining. It's visually, what do you call that? It's visually appealing. And I love that the special effects is just more real, it's more real. But that's the thing, they're focusing on the special effects, and it takes more of the forefront rather than the character, And there's also the characters are great. I love the Scooby-Doo gang, of course Ned and MJ. It's like watching Scooby-Doo, but it is very like the characters are more targeted for the tweens or the teens, and it's not really an adult film per se, because it's more like for the younger people, and it's not really an adult film. It's more for, of course, I'm watching it and I'm an adult, but it's like they're targeting it towards a younger audience, not like the first one with Tobey Maguire. That one was really heartbreaking, the death of Uncle Ben and his iconic line, with great power comes great responsibility. So that was heart-wrenching, and I don't think that was a kid's movie, but this one is like a kid's movie. And there's no iconic scenes here, not like the upside down kiss in the first one, or the Gwen Stacy death. So there's no iconic scene, because it's like a lot of scenes, and then it's very frenetic, it's very fast paced, and it's like nothing sticks to mind. It's like, okay, we'll throw everything at the screen and see what sticks. But there's really no iconic scene. They did not put some thought into making that iconic scene. Maybe the third one, though, has one, but it's several scenes. It's not one scene. I think that's the problem with this Spider-Man. It's just too ADHD, I guess. Or maybe I'm just old fashioned. I just like my movies, you know, based on, I don't know, I just don't want the scenes to be wasted. But in this movie, it's like so many scenes, and I don't think that's why I guess you repeat them, or you keep on watching the movie or the movies, because it's just a lot of things going on, information overload, I think. And of course, there's no great power comes great responsibility like scene. I'm not saying, so spoiler ahead, hint, hint. I'm not saying there's none in the third film, the most recent film, but I'm saying as a whole, there's no heart. There's no heart of the film. The core of the Tobey Maguire film was, that scene where Peter Parker realizes, with great power comes great responsibility, and it's the core of the film. And you see that progression from the second one, not so much in the third one, but you just see that is the core of the franchise. But this one, it's like maybe their core is let's entertain the fans. That's it. And they are doing a good job, though. And I think what's going on is that they're listening too much on the fans and not really listening to their creative or process. It's more like, what do the fans want? Let's give it to them. And I think that's what the Avengers, the MCU, Iron Man, that's why they made several billions of dollars. I don't know, maybe 10 billion. I don't know how much money they've made with the MCU. Even more, I think. I think if each movie makes $1 billion, and how many films are in this series, I'm pretty sure they're making billions. So because they have that formula to down pat, which is, let's entertain and let's cater to the fans. But it's also not appealing to the new fans. You know what I mean? It's only appealing to the fans of the franchise already, but it's not creating new fans. And that's something that Spider-Man really did. The first one, it created a fan base. And this one caters to the existing fan base. I hope you get my drift. So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that I can go into, but basically I have discussed why I really love the original Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It was creative. It started like a revolution, and the story was great. The acting was great. The special effects were great. The scenes were great. The villains were great, and it's really memorable film. I mean, several scenes were iconic. You could remember, the upside down kiss, the death of Ben, Uncle Ben, and also when that scene where Willem Dafoe's character, the Green Goblin, he has that bipolar episode where he's like split personality, bipolar episode. That's very iconic, and it's not something that you can find in, the recent Spider-Man franchise or series. Or this is part of the franchise. Anyway, the series, it's all confusing now. But yeah, I hope they will go back to that, the drawing board, and really draw new viewers, new fans in, and not just serve the fans. Of course, I love it. Like, the third film, it's such fan service for sure. You will, if you have not seen it, go watch it. You will know what I mean. It's a film that's actually made for the fans. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite, but it's not my favorite. Like, it's not my number one favorite. I can't. It's one of my favorite, but it's my favorite is still the Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man film. Thank you very much for watching. And so, Sky is on hosting duties. See? So she is playing 456. If you have watched or seen the Netflix Squid Games or Squid Games, is it Squid Game or Squid Games? Anyway, so she plays 456. I think this uniform is more apt for Bacon over there, but I made Bacon the guard, and she is 456. I'm probably gonna buy another costume, and he's gonna be 001, and she's gonna be another guard. I think she's more like a guard dog to me, and Bacon seems like he's one of the contestants from the Squid Game. And if you haven't checked out the Squid Game or Squid Games, is it Squid Games? I don't know if it's with an S. I have to check. Anyway, you should watch that too. That film is great. Not film, but series is great because it also has a core meaning to it, like who are you with money? Who do you become with money? And it's about, like, the power of money. And yeah, it's a philosophical film as well, and you look at the disparity between the rich and the poor and what poor people would do for money. Yeah, and anyway, I got off topic over there, and Bacon is somewhere here. He's over there, I think, if you can see. So the guard is actually sleeping. Yeah, they're tired today because I think it was raining, and we took a walk, and they hate it when they have to walk in the rain, but we can't help it because it's been raining the whole time here, the whole day. And thank you very much for watching. As I said, if you like Jeannie Goes to the Movies content, I have a podcast where it's audio only. And this channel is a portal for all of the things that I do. So as I mentioned, I'm a writer. I'm on Amazon. I'll put all the links below because I do a lot, and I just love movies, and that's the reason why I'm making these videos, because I love movies. And if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, you have to watch it. It is amazing, and of course it's made for fans. It's one of those fan service films. It really does work, but it just makes me crave for the original more. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.